Hey everybody! My name is Jacqueline. This is episode 14, I think. Maybe 15? I think it's 14. Episode 14 of the Brooklyn Knitfolk podcast. My name is Jacqueline. You can find me on Instagram, at Ravelry, Pinterest, basically everywhere as @JacquelineSalem. I hope you guys have had a really great couple of weeks. As you can see, I'm kind of in a different setting right now. Normally I film in my living room, but the living room is currently occupied by my roommate's family who have come to visit her from China. So I thought I would just film it in my bedroom for now. A little informal, kind of an awkward setup, so hopefully it won't be too distracting. I anticipate this is going to be a shorter episode than usual just because things have been so busy for me, and I know everybody says that, and busy is like you're as busy as you want to be, but I've had visitor after visitor coming to stay with me. I love having people, but this entire month has just been insane with people coming to stay with me here in New York City, and also with traveling for work, which is still ongoing. So I don't anticipate this is going to be a very long episode because I don't have a lot of progress to show you on the projects that I've been making. But I figured I would go ahead and get this out there just because I like to be consistent with talking to you guys and seeing what you guys are up to and showing you my making, and it just keeps me on track. So that's what I'm doing. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you so much for checking me out. And if you're coming back, thanks for watching again. So let's get right into it, shall we? So, last week my mom and sister were in town, and I thought that while they were here it would be really fun to have them pick out colors for my Cozy Memories blanket. I've shown you this before, but I'm making a log cabin style blanket that looks like this. And each log cabin square takes 10 different colors. And there is a pattern for this up on Ravelry, by the way. I put up my pattern recipe, so if you're interested in making one of these, jump right in. I think it's called the Brooklyn Knitfolk Log Cabin Blanket. Free pattern, just a recipe for how I make my squares. So I had my mom and sister pick out 10 colors apiece for me to make a mom Cozy Memory log cabin square and my sister Laura a log cabin square, and I finished those. So this is the one my sister picked out, upside down, although I guess it doesn't really matter, but they both really gravitated towards Cat's Kettle yarns. They like, between the two of them, I think there's at least 4, maybe 5 Cat's Kettle yarns in here. The center one for sure I know that's Pearl, and this one right here I think is named Margot, named after her daughter. So those are the 2 that my sister really liked. And there's also some minis in here from Melissa, the Spicy Homemaker podcast, this blue here, lots from Antonella, who is the Antonella Knits podcast. And then this one is the one that my mom picked out. So these colors are so not my particular taste, but I love them. Like, I would have never picked out this palette for myself, but I really love it. My mom's palette, on the other hand, this is like right up my alley. A lot of these are some of my favorite colors. She used the center square as Petite Fours, which is another Cat's Kettle yarn. I knit that for her Mother's Day shawl that I just gave to her. So she wanted to kind of pick out a palette based around that Petite Fours colorway, dyed by Katrina, who also has the Yarn 30 podcast, in case you didn't know. So those are the additions to my log cabin blanket. It's coming along. As far as width goes, it's about, I'd say I need to add at least 4 more to each, 4 more to the whole row to make it a queen size width. But for now I kind of want to start going vertical on it so that it's like, as Laura the Fun Knit says, like not just like a napkin, so it feels more blanket-like, because I can't really, like, obviously can't use this. Not that I'm using this in the heat of summer, because oh my gosh you guys, last week it has gotten so hot all of a sudden. But no one wants to hear about weather. So yeah, so this is about 4 squares, like full squares shy of being a queen size, which is the ideal size that I'm thinking of making mine. Mika is really interested in this right now. Can you not be so interested in this? Thank you. So yeah, I'm loving, it's okay, you're just being a cat. I'm loving how this is looking, really loving it. And I've received a lot of neutrals, so I'm going to continue trying to add as many neutral squares, such as this one, for example, as possible, and then kind of doing pops of these like really colorful, bright ones. So yeah, Log Cabin Cozy Memories blanket. And again, free pattern recipe on Ravelry if you're interested in making one. I know that it's Lily Yaz on Instagram. She started making one too, so I'm really excited to see how hers is turning out. So squishy, so soft and lovely, just such a fun project. I've already got my next minis lined up for another square. It's just such a good like mindless project when you don't want to think about the knitting. My next work in progress, I don't have any finished objects this week, but this one is really close, is my beach tank. The pattern is called the Beach Tank, and it's by Jess Screebstein, who is the Kitchen Witch on Instagram. She's a beautiful Instagram feed. She just started following me recently too, and I was just like, ah, fangirl moment, because she's like one of my favorite people on Instagram. Anyway, so this is the tank top. This is the front of it. Right now I have the straps on waist yarn ready to go. It's going to be, normally the pattern calls to be knit in pieces on a size 9 holding 2 DK weight yarns together. But I had to size down to a size 8 needle because I wasn't getting gauge, and even that probably was still not enough because unfortunately this tank top is knitting up way too big for me. It's not supposed to be. It's like I tried it on and it's just like I'm swimming in it. So I'm thinking it's salvageable. Before I go on to that, let me just finish with where I am. I finished the front minus the straps for it, which are I-cord straps, and then the back piece is exactly the same as the front. I just have a couple hours of knitting to get the back piece, and then I will knit I-cord straps for it. So I have a few plans in mind for how to salvage this situation. Honestly, I knit it in the round even though the pattern calls to be knit in pieces, so I didn't have to purl anything. But what I think I'm going to do is just take it in like I would with a thrifted garment, you know? So I'm thinking I'll either mattress stitch it from the inside and then cut off the excess, or just take a sewing machine to it and zigzag this baby several times until it feels secure and then cut off the rest. I mean, I know that's kind of crazy, but I'm just like I'm not the kind of person who wants to just rip everything out and re-knit it. I should have realized this sooner. I think I even said on the last episode that this was looking too big. I just need to trust those gut instincts more often. But I'm always nervous that things are going to turn out way too big or way too small instead of way too big, but from now on I need to listen to myself when I say that things are probably going to be too big, because they usually are whenever I say that. But I really love the marled effect that the black and white yarn is having. One problem that I'm finding with this pattern too is that there's not a whole lot of information on Ravelry about yarn selection. These are 2 DK weight yarns. One of them is a heavier DK, probably the Knit Picks, which is Knit Picks Gloss DK. This one's almost a worsted weight, basically, but this one is basically a sport weight. This is the Summer Universal Ink yarns in a summer linen. It's a 50-50 cotton linen blend. And she doesn't give a whole lot of instruction for yarn selection in this, and there's so many different projects that use a wide variety of yarn weights. She herself has knit a few of them, and in some of them she's knit with like 2 DK, another one that has a DK yarn and a fingering weight yarn held together. So I think the problem here is that the yarns I picked were probably just too heavy. I probably could have gotten by with using a fingering weight yarn for the DK Knit that I've selected, and then maybe even gone down another needle size. So if you're wanting to make this, which I love the pattern, I just think that keep your yarns on the lighter weight side for sure, because this is, yeah, too big. But fixable, I hope. If not, it was a really quick project. Like, I literally knit most of this up in, you know, a week if I combine all the time together. It doesn't take that long. So, very quick. That's the beach tank. And that's living in my Diary of a Yarn Snob project bag that has the grid fabric and this pebble interior that I really like because it reminds me of the old MacBooks, because that was the default image on the old Apple computers. So that's that. And while we're on the subject of Diary of a Yarn Snob bags, I wanted to show you, is Mika laying on it? Yes, she is. Sorry. Jules of the Diary of a Yarn Snob podcast sent an extra one for you guys. So this will be used in a future giveaway. I'm not sure which one yet, but it has this really cute exterior fabric and a chevron interior with a pocket. So yeah, thank you so much for sending that, Jules. I can't wait to give this away. And the fabrics, it's just a very sturdy bag. They don't have interfacing in them, but the fabrics are quite, especially the exterior, it kind of feels almost like upholstery fabrics or curtain fabrics, so they're really, really thick and durable, I can tell. Show that to you. The next project that I have made progress on, at least, and this is the last one I'm going to show you today, is my Hetty shawl by Isolde Teague. It's a paid-for pattern on Ravelry. Oh, that's not it. This is what the pattern looks like. And it's kind of a smaller shawl, so I'm knitting 10 extra repeats of the pattern to make it into a larger piece. So last time I moved my stitch marker. I was up to here. This is what I had. And now I've got this much done on the edge. So you knit the border, it's a cabled border, and then you pick up the stitches along the interior and then knit, I believe it's garter. Let me see. Yeah, it looks like garter. Can't tell for sure. I'm pretty sure it's garter. Garter stitch and then decrease in the center. So that's how that's looking. I just love this yarn with this pattern. It's Brooklyn Tweed in the Hayloft colorway. So beautiful. It just really makes the cables sing. Can't go wrong with Brooklyn Tweed and cables. I think it looks beautiful. So I'm excited to have this. Got a little cowl action going right now. That could be cool for future use. So that's that project. I'm almost finished with chart A. I would be finished already if I was just knitting the pattern as is with chart A, but because I'm knitting it larger, I still have probably another 8 repeats or so to go. Something else I wanted to show in here. Keep those out. Okay. This is my first big cabling project, and it says you can cable it without a needle, and I keep meaning to look for a tutorial to do that because I've never cabled without it. Well, I mean, this is like my first big cabling project anyway, so it's not like I could say I've even cabled much before, but I want to look up and see how to cable without a needle because I'm sure that would speed up the process a little bit. But those are all my works in progress right now. I have, of course, a couple other projects, the Fine and Dandy socks that are sort of in hibernation right now until I knit enough of it to show you something substantial. And then, of course, my exploration station, which I'm dying to get back to that, but it's at the brioche right now. I haven't started the brioche, but I need to look up more tutorials, and I just have not had time with all of my family visiting and friends in town and going out of town for work. So hopefully within the next couple weeks or so, I'll be able to like sit down and figure out the brioche. I just haven't had the headspace to figure that out yet, but I'm dying to get that shawl finished because I love that project so much and the colors. If you haven't seen it before, I would recommend checking out the project page for the color selection because you guys really seem to love the colors I picked out. It's mostly woolen vine yarns that I'm using and a couple other indie dyers, so go check that out if you're interested. It's inspired by the Pacific Northwest in my head, because like Katie from Inside Number 23, she never actually names projects what the actual name of the project is. It kind of like comes up with her own names. I do that a lot as well, so yes. And this week I have one acquisition. I went to Chicago, which you have seen if you were following me on Instagram, for a work trip. And while I was there, I wanted to check out some of their knitting shops. I got recommendations from Allie of the Get Lit and Knit podcast. I was hoping to meet her, but she was out of town for a wedding, unfortunately. But I did get to meet up with Becky of the Stringing, it has like singing in parentheses, It Together podcast. I'll put links in the down bar below. But that was so fun, meeting up with her and going to this knitting shop. And we hung out for the rest of the day and got dinner with her boyfriend. It was just so much fun. She's an opera singer and she's going to be moving to Germany soon for a job that she's taken. So that's really, really exciting. But while I was there at Knit One, the store's called Knit One, I got this skein of Swan's Island in the blackberry colorway. It's just a really beautiful burgundy purple color. It's really lovely, and I got it for a specific project in mind. I'll insert a picture of that here. It's a hat called the beeswax hat, and I love anything to do with bees. Actually, my entire life I've been mostly afraid of them, but my mom helped her grandmother beekeep a lot when she was younger, and just really like kind of changed my perception of how important bees are to like the environment and to the world, and just how hardworking they are. But I love bees because my mom has just kind of had me rethink about what bees do for our culture. So I've tried to like change my mindset from being afraid of them to being more appreciative of them, and I definitely feel like I'm on that level with bees now. Something really cool that you guys can do if you have like a backyard situation is take a bowl, fill it with marbles, and put water in it. And it's kind of like a little bees watering station so that bees can get some water without drowning in it. So if you're trying to attract more bees to your yard, or just like want to help water the bees, then a bowl of marbles with some water in it. My parents always have one in their backyard. I just think it's really cute. Anyway, Swan's Island. Got it for the beeswax hat, so I'm going to make one of those for myself. The color is a little bit dark, so I'm hoping that, not a little bit, it is really dark, so I'm hoping that the pattern will still show up with this. If not, I'll have my eye on looking for some different colors before I settle on this, and I know I want to make more than one because I think I want to make my mom and I matching bees hats, or beeswax hats. So that's what this is for. Thank you so much to the ladies at Knit One in Chicago, and of course to Becky for joining me, and Allie for your recommendation. I had a really great time just sitting and knitting with them and just talking, shooting the breeze about what we were making, and it was, a whole lot of fun. Three gifts that I wanted to share with you guys and thank publicly on the podcast. This one unfortunately came right after I had filmed my last episode, so I didn't have it in time to put on the last episode podcast, so this is a really late thank you. But I put out a call for Neutrals minis, and holy shit, Antonella of the Antonella Knits podcast, she came through for me. She sent me a whole bag of like giant skeins of leftover yarns. I won't sit here and bore you and make you go through all of them, but a few favorites. This lovely like chestnut brown Tosh yarn, some beautiful lace weights, gorgeous cream colors, some grays, and all just labeled, like every single thing labeled, which was so amazing. I've already dug into these and started knitting them into my blanket. I couldn't resist. I just love them. So thank you so much, Antonella, for sending me these. Very, very grateful. The next thing, as I was en route to Chicago, Melissa of the Spicy Homemaker podcast sent me a message on Instagram asking me for my phone number because it would be needed for a delivery that she was having sent to my apartment. And I was like, what could that possibly be? I'm so intrigued. So I gave it to her, got back, and she had sent me 2 bottles of this, almost lost it. The other one's in here. I haven't opened it yet. I was kind of keeping it to show the box. But last week on the podcast, I talked about some of my favorite wine, which is Vino Verde. Sorry, blanking on the name. Here, I'll show you the words. Vino Verde. And there's a particular brand called Casal Garcia that is my absolute favorite, and I've never seen it in a New York wine shop. I look for it every time I go into one, but I haven't seen it. And the one that's like local to me, like right down the street, they don't have it, and that's the one I go to the most often. So she found a shop that delivers and had 2 bottles sent to me. So thank you so much, Melissa. I cannot wait to crack into this. It's my favorite wine. It's not even that pricey, you guys. So if you see it, it's like between $10 and $15 for bottles of Vino Verde wines. The grapes are grown in Portugal, and something about them, it has like it's a drier white wine, not sweet. It's more like kind of an effervescent finish to it, just how I described it in the last podcast. Not quite like a Prosecco or a Champagne, but dry, kind of like a Sauvignon Blanc. So if you're looking for some new wines to try, definitely give this a go. And thank you so much, Melissa. This totally made my week when I got this. I was just tickled. And for this lovely note that you wrote me. So thank you so much. And if you guys don't watch the Spicy Homemaker podcast, it is one of my absolute favorites. Every time I watch her podcast, I just feel so uplifted, and I could be having like the worst day, but when I'm watching one of her podcasts, I immediately feel happy after it. It's just hard not to. Melissa has such an infectious personality. She brings the community together in ways that nobody else is, and she's just a really beautiful person. So go follow her on Instagram, watch her podcast. She's just somebody you want to be around. Just trust me on that. So thank you so much, Melissa. That totally made my week, and I'm already thinking of possibilities for something to send back to you in return. I don't know exactly what it's going to be yet, but I love just like accumulating things as I see them that like, oh, that would be perfect for that person. So I can't wait to like stumble upon whatever it is I know that will be perfect for you. So thank you so much for that. And then last, but certainly not least, I participated in the Legacy Knits 10-gram mini skein, Legacy Knits and Grocery Girls, 10-gram mini skeins swap and tea swap. And my partner was Penny, and she sent me, put these up. She sent me all these lovely minis. I asked for neutral color specifically, as I'm kind of using those in my Cozy Memories blanket. And she sent me as many as she could. So I've got some really gorgeous grays and creams, some browns, some kind of more neutrally navies. So these are just perfect. Thank you so much, Penny. And in addition to that, she sent some really lovely teas. And something in particular I'm really excited about is this Lavender Mint Anywhere Balm. It smells really good. I love lavender and I love mint, so this is basically the perfect combination. I'm not sure like what exactly you can use it for. I mean, Anywhere Balm suggests that you can put it literally on anything, but so far I've been using it for lip gloss and just on my hands as needed, but love it. So thank you so much for that, Penny. Your package is going to be on its way to you this week, I promise, by the by. And then the last thing I want to talk about is a wonderful meetup that we had yesterday. If you live in the New York City area and you're interested in going to a meetup, like if you're just visiting, for example, or live around here, we try to have one at least once a month. The group is called New York Knit Nerds, and it's spelled a weird way, so make sure you check the show notes for the exact way that it's spelled. Join the Ravelry group if you want. Yesterday, we had a couple of special guests that were in town. Helen from Curious Handmade podcast was here, so she was kind of how we got like this particular meetup set up and where to go because we needed a larger space. So she was there. That was really great. Sarah from the Yarns at Yinhu podcast and Meredith from the Wool Gathering podcast. So it was really cool to have all these people in town over Memorial Day weekend. We had a huge turnout. We went to the Brooklyn Roasting Company, and ironically there are two of them, but the one that we went to is the location in Flatiron in Manhattan, not actually in Brooklyn. But it was a good thing that we did because the space is giant there and we had quite a few people that showed up. So that was really great to meet Helen and see Sarah again, meet Meredith. Hi Meredith, and hi Helen, hi Sarah. And then of course all the usual suspects that come to these events. It was so great to have you. We sat and knit for a few hours and then went and got some lunch. Some people split off to go to Pearl Soho. So it was just a really wonderful day, and I had a great chat with Helen. She gave me these 2 neutrals minis, so I'm excited to incorporate those into my log cabin blanket. But yeah, there's just no company like Knitting Company. You're automatically friends, you know, it's just, love it. So like I said, if you're in the area and are interested in joining up with us, please come. The more the merrier, and especially now that it's getting warmer out. We'll probably have a lot more of our meetups outside, I imagine. Probably like in the park, in Central Park would be nice, and yeah, so come join us. And yeah, so other than that, like I said, this is going to be a pretty short episode today. I don't think I have anything else for you, so hopefully the next one will have more progress and more things that are finished. I'm not one of those people though that's like racing to finish things all the time. It's more about the process, not about the final product all the time, but I do recognize that this week was a light week in terms of progress on things. So hopefully next week I'll have more to show you. And with that, I will talk to you in a couple weeks. Bye!